Hello, folks, and welcome to the Counting Sheep podcast, episode 48. My name is Ruth, and this is my podcast about crocheting, knitting, spinning, stuff that has to do with the fiber arts, working with wool, and what I get up to around my small sheep farm where I live with my husband and a whole host of critters. So if that's your jam, I welcome you to join me and sit back and enjoy a cup of something I'm thinking cool now. Last week here in New England, we had quite some cool weather. It was the type where you really needed an extra layer and some hot drinks. But today I have some nice ice cold water, and it's in the 70s. I think it's getting close to 80 today. So I think spring has been struggling here in the Northeast. But yeah, we had a nor'easter last weekend. We're supposed to get a nor'easter this weekend. So it seems to be kind of the weather pattern that we're in. Lots of rain, but we're glad when the sun comes out. I think a lot of people are in better moods right now. So anyway, I have a lot to show and, get to. So I'm going to dive right in. First off is what I'm wearing, of course. And if you were with me last time, I showed you my completed Sivu tee. This is the Sivu tee by Linda Skuja, of course. And this is mine. I did mine in Hope Made Yarn Co. The Hope base, which is a merino. Yeah, it's superfine merino, cashmere, and nylon. And then it's in the possum colorway. So here, I just wanted to show it to you on. It's a little bunched up here. Because last time when I showed it, I had not blocked it yet. And so blocking, as we all know, does a whole set of wonderful things when you put your yarn or your project into water or soapy water. The only thing I'll have to say, I have to change, and it's on the sleeves. As you can see, the sleeves are kind of snug. I like the texture along the sleeves, but what she has you do, and she has you do it down here too, on the waistband, is she has you do a slip stitch round all the way around all of the openings, except for the neck, of course. And what that does is, if you don't keep it loosey-goosey, it gets kind of tight. And I always have to, remind myself, even when it's loose, it can get tight. So what I think I'm going to do is just take out that last round of slip stitch. I don't think it's going to affect the finish on the garment at all. And if it does, there's always reverse single crochet, which leaves a nice finish on the on the bottoms of openings of garments and that sort of thing. So I may go with that route. And if I do, I will show it to you here. Stay tuned. But yeah, this is a beautiful pattern. Really enjoyed making it. And it has a nice stretchy neck opening. So I highly recommend this pattern if you want to try it. All right, so I usually start off with crochet. I run into knitting and then some spinning. I don't have any spinning today. I have other things that are going to fill that time. But yeah, just suffice it to say, we're going to be doing some more spinning as the summer rolls on. So crochet, I want to show you my whips. I showed you this one last time, and this is the Bougainvillea top by Sandra Gutierrez. And if you recall, it is a sleeveless top that features some embroidery on the bodice here. So this is all kind of solid stitching here, and then you go into this lovely shell lace pattern here. And what I managed to do over the last 2 weeks, while I was working on other things, of course, is I've got that solid portion done. And I managed to do some of the lace. So here's where I'm at. So yeah, it gets scrunched up in the bag, so it doesn't do the lace it justice. So I did join for the underarms, and the back is long. She has you do longer on the back, of course, than the front. But just check that patterning out. I just adore doing shells. And this yarn is from Scheepjes, and it's their Stonewashed. This is a DK weight. And this color is called Smoky Quartz, color number 802. And then I thought what I would do, you know, once I have the whole thing done, is for the embroidery, I have some other colors in, let me just put this away here, in the Scheepjes. And this one is Corundum Ruby, color number 808. And then this yellowish color is Lemon Quartz. And then this kind of lavender color is Deep Amethyst, color 811. I also have a very, very light green here called Crystal Quartz. And then I have another red that's a little darker than the one I have in my hand right now. This one's called Garnet, and that's color number 810. So depending on how much, how much contrast I have for this top, we'll see which one I use. You can tell that I had frogged these two from another project. So yeah, anyway, so those are the colors, and yeah, so I'm enjoying this a lot. I've tried it on already. It fits well, and it does get some trim around the neck, trim around the armholes, and I'm probably going to make it longer than the 9.5 inches from armhole to waist that it calls for, simply because I don't do 9.5 inches for that kind of length on me anymore. So yeah, so I forgot to tell you, the Stonewashed is a 78% cotton, 22% acrylic. So, and this color is just a nice neutral kind of gray. All right, so that's the Bougainvillea top. And just, I know, you know, the shell stitch, you know, when you're doing a solid stitch on the bodice, and that happens to be all single crochet, it takes a while, it takes some time to do the smaller stitches. And now that I'm in with the shell stitching, it's moving right along. You're adding length very quickly, so. Alrighty, so that is the Bougainvillea top. Sandra Gutierrez is the designer. She's Nomad Stitches. And just so you know, Sandra has her own kind of crochet subscription website thing going on. It's called plyful.com. And I think you pay $7 or $8 a month, something like that. And you get one pattern a month, plus you get all the support for that pattern. And she brings in different designers not every month, but I think every other month. She'll bring in a different crochet designer. And usually the crochet designer has designed a garment. Some have designed like hat mitten sets, that sort of thing. But I have to say that's where I discovered Courtney Clark, and there's one other person and Linda Skuja to some extent, although I've heard of Linda Skuja before Plyful came along. And there's one other designer, her name is escaping me right now, but it's a great community. And Sandra, when she is the designer of the month, she'll give you a lot of help in terms of, you know, technique and that sort of thing. And she answers questions, and she just wants to bring crochet out into the community more, you know, and I guess raise the bar, you know. sometimes crochet gets a bad rap, you know, as being kind of inferior to knitting. I don't think it's inferior to knitting at all. And I enjoy it as much as I enjoy knitting. So yeah, so I really dig her vibe when it comes to getting crochet out there. All right, so that's my soapbox. Anyway, speaking of her again, as you know, or I may have said it here on the podcast, that I work for the Woolly Thistle, which is an online wool and yarn store that is based in New Hampshire, right across the river from me. I only work a couple days a week, and basically my goals there at the Woolly Thistle is just to put the orders together accurately and pack them and get them out to the patrons. But I've also helped them with some strategies in terms of just incorporating more crochet items, just kind of raising the awareness that crocheters like to use woolly wool as well. And so to that end, they are having their vest make along right now. It starts this Friday. And I found one of Sandra Gutierrez's vests. She calls it a Cardi, and the reason why she does is because you can make it as a vest, or you can add sleeves to it if you desire. And there was a newerish yarn that came into the Woolly Thistle that I thought this particular Cardi would look good in. So this is Sandra's Mosaic Cardi. You may or may not have seen it. She has done a lot of work in Mosaic crochet in the past. So that's the Mosaic Cardi. This is just it on a hanger. This one is, of course, with sleeves. This one is without sleeves. Actually, these little sleeves. But I think what I'm going to plan on doing with mine is not even putting that on there, and just do a nice, edging on the Cardi, similar to the one that's on the button band. Anyway, long story short here, let's get to the point. So that newest yarn that came into the Woolly Thistle is from Rennie, which is a Scottish producer of yarn. It is a 4-ply. They call it Rennie Supersoft 4-ply. And it comes in a boatload of colors. So you can imagine I had quite the time choosing colors for this Mosaic Cardi of Sandra's. So, but without further ado, I'm just going to show you where I'm at here. I'm almost done with it. I've got one more stripe to do on the bottom, I believe, for the length that I want. And then I have the finishing to do. But let me hold it up. This is the front first, and it doesn't look all that thrilling because it hasn't been blocked yet. But if I go back a little bit and show you the back, it really is a stunner. And as you can see on the bottom, I've started with the darker green again. The last stripe will be dark green and this silver color. But each stripe of Mosaic crochet is a different pattern. So no getting bored here at all. Matter of fact, it is very potato chippy. I mean, I just want to keep going and see what the next stripe is. She does give you extra patterns in extra charts in the patterns, in the pattern itself, so that if you need to lengthen it, obviously hers is kind of a cropped, but I'm adding actually another stripe just to lengthen it a bit for me. So she gives you all of that information. She goes over Mosaic crochet in the pattern. Just a complete package, So this will get a button band on it, and I'll probably do the same treatment over here on the armhole. The button band will be done in this darker brown here. And I should tell you some of the colors here. So this yellow here is Nugget. The brown is truffle. This grayish color is silver. The red is red hot. This darker green is forest. This other green is calypso. And then this pink is salmon. There's 7 different colors of JC Rennie in this garment. So yeah, so highly recommend. This is so much fun. And like I said, I've been doing this in the background just kind of to bring some crochet out in the world, especially for all of the woolly thistlers out there. So yeah, so great make. And let me get this back in the bag before everything escapes. And the size hook I'm using, you'd be surprised, is a 5mm hook. So you really do go up quite a bit in hook size, even when you're using a fingering weight. So just bear that in mind. It's not like you're using this tiny little thin yarn with a really small hook. When it comes to garments, you want them open and airy so that they don't weigh a ton when you wear them. All right, I'm going to put that back in its place. And finally, in crochet, I wanted to just show you something else that I've been working on in the background. I hadn't brought it forward because I wanted to talk and mention to all of you about plyful.com, which is Sandra's website. She has these patterns that come out once a month from either herself or a designer of the month. And those patterns are available to us as members for a full year before they're released to the public. And the one I'm about to show you that's the case with this one. This is another Linda Skuja pattern. I enjoy her stuff so much. And this is called the Everleaf cardigan. And I don't know, I don't think you may be able to pick up from the picture that it has these little leaf motifs in there done on the vertical. And this cardigan Linda calls for and made hers also in the Scheepjes stonewashed. And since I've had experience with that yarn, I decided to go with the same yarn and the same color because I like this color a lot. So let me show you that. This is the stonewash. This one is actually called Yellow Jasper. So all of these colors kind of are named after gemstones. Yeah, once again, 78% cotton, 22% acrylic. And this is what mine looks like so far. And I guess I can show you these leaves close up. And so there they are. You can see the little open. There's open leaves and then the closed leaves just stacked on top of one another. So it's going to be worn vertically like this. And then you get to do a little lace row over here, and then some solid rows as well. Yeah, it's a wonderful pattern. It's an interesting construction because to construct these leaves, you actually have to keep turning the work, which isn't onerous because it's just kind of a 12-stitch repeat. I have a wedding to go to in November, and I'm thinking this would be a great cover-up over a dressy outfit. Excuse me. Yeah, so anyway, that is Linda Skuja's Everleaf pattern. And this is done on a 4.5mm hook. All right. Well, this is my swatch. I should have showed you the swatch first. So there, I think that's the right side. As you can see, she's got a lot of texture going on too between the leaves. Just really pretty. Really nice. And it's funny, I was just reading something about Linda Skuja, and when she's designing something, she's always thinking about the next design. So as she's putting the design down on paper, her mind has already gone to another place, you know, to design something else. So yeah, she's quite prolific, and she has a book out there as well. All right, so I think that's it for crochet. I'm going to move on to knitting, and I have a finished object to show you, which is wonderful. If you know, I was making some socks, and I was making them in this lovely yarn by Hope Made Yarn Co. And this is called JoJo's Favorite Sock Set. 75% merino, 25% nylon. And this was the Rhinebeck FOMO colorway, which she no longer carries, unfortunately. But this is the base, Rhinebeck FOMO. And then you were allowed to choose any one of these speckly colors that are in the yarn base for a contrast color. So I picked orange. And I really love how my socks came out. Let me show you. These are on my sock blockers. And it was such a nice dry day today that they dried very quickly. So here are this is the diagonal lace sock pattern, and it is from the book of Socks from the Toe Up, and it's by Wendy Knits, and that is Wendy D. Johnson, and that is this book here. I also showed you she has the deck of cards too, so each pattern was placed on one card that you can stick in your bag instead of having to schlep the book around. But as you can see my little lace eyelets there. My toe and cuff. I did these toe up 2 at a time. And I have to say this might be my way of doing things from now on, because I have no holes where I usually have holes making a sock from the top down. I have no little weird stitch here in the toe where somehow I've ended up with too much after my Kitchener stitch. So somehow when I start at the toe, I get this nice smooth toe with none of that nonsense going on. And then I did a very loose bind off. I have a 1x1 rib here and a loose bind off for it. Yeah, so really enjoyed that. And the pattern is very, very down to earth, you know, very cut and dry, you know. She walks you right through every single step. So yeah, so those are my diagonal lace socks. And I'm going to just show you the picture of them in the book. I do have this card, but I must have misplaced it. I think when I went to see my mom, I think I left that card there. But here is the picture in the book. And now, since I got these done, it's kind of motivated me to pull out one of my languishing whips. Now, I looked back on Ravelry because I did put this up on Ravelry the minute I casted it on. And it is another set of socks from this book. And they are called the traditional Gansy socks. And if you've been with me, I think I might have shown them on here. So here are those socks. Probably hard to see the texture on that on camera, I'm thinking. But I have the toes all done, and I noticed I started to, you know, work the foot here. This yarn is 50 cotton, 50 wool, and it is called Saona from Wooldreamers. And here is my little card. The traditional Gansy socks. Once again, a toe-up sock. And yeah, the instructions are really, really detailed, so you know exactly what you're doing. It looks like it's the same kind of gusset creation and turning of the heel that I did for the diagonal lace socks. So don't mess with a good thing, right? So anyway, yeah, so I think the patterning, I started it on, yeah, this side. Hard to see. Yeah, so anyway, there it is. Yeah, it looks better on camera than it does, you know, close up to my face. So yeah, there's some little purl stitches that I've done. So I think probably for the summertime, socks are great to make. They're a small project. They're easy to take along with you wherever you go. And I think, yeah, that's going to be my jam, is to always have a set of socks on the needles. Here is the yarn label from Saona. This is the Notes colorway, and I actually had this much left over from another project that I did in this yarn. So yeah, I would check, if you really are into toe-up socks, I would check out this book, because it really is a good informational source for that. All right, so last time I told you I was having a dilemma in my next kind of garment cast on for knitting, and I presented two different kind of sleeveless garments, and asked you to weigh in on them. But I think I truly was leaning this kind of way anyway, so I went ahead and even though I had this swatch all ready to go, and I've decided to cast on for the Atlantic Waves Slipover. This is a pattern out of Shetland Wool Adventures Journal number 2, and that's how the pattern is still available. I've checked Ravelry, and they indeed have it so that you have to buy the book. But anyway, this is the Atlantic Waves Slipover. So as you can see, some lace at the bottom, a little bit of color work, and then I believe there's some color work on the sleeves too. I got my yarn from Donna Smith, this yarn exactly from her, when I visited Shetland last summer in July. And so this is the Langsund 100% Shetland wool. Some of it from her sheep, some of it from some other cooperative farms that she works with. It is a DK, and this shade color is light stain. So it's a different color from what the sample is in the book, but all of her colors are just gorgeous. And then she also gave me a hand-dyed skein for the color work, and that is kind of a purplish blue. Anyway, I did swatch for it, yay, and this swatch is still damp. The actual slip over is done in the round, and so as you can see, I've swatched in the round. It's not my favorite way to swatch, I gotta tell you, because I just can't deal with this messiness in the back. But you know, if you're careful, you make a good swatch, and you get a good gauge, a good idea of your gauge from the swatch. So yeah, it's about a 5 stitch to the inch gauge for this. And there's about 28 rows to 4 inches. And I think I'm right about there. And I had to go down a needle size like I always do. The pattern calls for a number 7 US, and I went down to a 6. I just started on a 6 because I knew better. I tend to be very loose when I knit, so yeah, I'm excited. For that, we start with the strip of lace on the bottom, so I'm going to cast on for that, and that'll be a fun thing to show you next time. And just wanted to mention the designer Eunson Designs. I'll put it on the screen. She's the one who designed the Slipover, and it's in Donna Smith's yarn. All right, I think that's it for knitting. I'm going to go into shenanigans now. I got the opportunity to take a class from Patty Lyons over at Harrisville Designs, which is about an hour-and-a-half drive for me. She was coming up to Harrisville to teach brioche knitting, along with some other things. I think she was here for this past weekend teaching other classes, like one-day classes. Her first class, which was on Friday, was the brioche knitting. And she really is a hoot. I really enjoyed taking a class from her. She, if you've been with me, you know kind of my brioche saga and woes that I had with a Stephen West shawl not too long ago. And that was brioche done on fingering weight yarn in 2 colors. And I think I ripped it back 3 times before I put lifelines in, and then didn't have to rip back at all, which I believe is kind of the psychological thing behind putting in a lifeline. As soon as you stick them in, you don't make any mistakes. So, but anyway, so she kind of, she broke down the whole brioche thing and made it really simple to understand. One of the adages she put out for us in the class was, I wrote it down here, when we see and understand, we remember. And basically the thought behind that is, when you think back to the way you learned how to knit, you may have been taught by somebody who said, this is how you do this. You do this, do this, do this, instead of really telling you where exactly the needle point has to go in, how the yarn is wrapped around the needle and why, and how your stitches sit on the needle, which is it was really the emphasis of the whole class, how to read your knitting and how to correct things when things go amiss. So the other thing she was saying was that as knitters and probably as crocheters, we tend to make things more complex than they really need to be. And I have to tell you, a saying that she had, she borrowed it from her mom, and her mom always said, that's called grasping complexity from the jaws of simplicity. And I just laughed when she said that, because it's true, like we want to think it's hard, and we want to, we have it in our head it's hard, and it really isn't. It's that simple. It's, knitting, purling, it's that simple. Anyway, I wanted to show you what we did in class. We needed to have a light and dark yarn. She had us start flat first, and I just put my swatches on some waste yarn. So we started with a ribbing, just some ribbing. Then we went into a fisherman's rib, which is a different kind of stitching for your knit stitches, and it actually creates a nice squishy fabric. And then we went into just 1 color brioche, and then this top portion is 2 color brioche. Yeah, and then we also did some stuff in the round. So once again, starting off with some ribbing, and then going right into 2 color brioche. Look, it just looks so interesting on both sides. And it's so stretchy, yeah, lots of fun. So I always recommend classes for people, even if you think you know a technique, there is always something that you can learn. And I enjoyed that quite a bit. Yeah, so that was the shenanigans for this week. I just want to show you some of the acquisitions I got while I was at Harrisville Designs. This is a book by Patty Lyons called Patty Lyons' Knitting Bag of Tricks. This one I already owned, but I brought it along so she could sign it for me, and she did indeed sign it for me. So The one I did pick up was her Patty Lyons Sitting Bag of Tricks, the official workbook, which I think it would be a good thing for anyone to slowly work through and do some of the exercises in this workbook, because Patty basically will tell you she was a self-taught knitter and there was nobody around, so she had to figure out everything on her own. And the why, and knowing why you're doing something, it's not even half the battle, it's probably the whole battle. So so why does a stitch sit on the needle the way it does? So yeah, she signed this one for me too. And then I did a little bit of shopping while I was there at Harrisville. Apparently Brooklyn Tweed, whose yarn is actually spun by Harrisville Designs, is no longer going to be in the yarn business. So while I was there, I wanted to pick up a couple of kind of, skeins, memory skeins or whatever you call them, so anyway, here, this is his loft, American Targhee and Columbia wool. This is his fingering weight. So I thought, nice frog color pair of socks in my future. And this colorway is called Sap. Yeah. So kind of a fun green. And then this is something that I do on and off. I have those pot holder looms where you use loops to make pot holders, and you just go in, you do a weave, a simple weave or whatever. And I was looking at this book and I just decided, I have to up my game a little bit in terms of the pattern. So anyway, this is called Radical Pot Holder Weaving. And so as you can see from the cover, there are some really cool designs in this book that I want to try out. Harrisville has these free cards. So when you pick up the loops in the loom and that sort of thing, you can actually kind of get a map of how to lay them out, and so that they actually look like something and not just a random thing, which is what I've been doing in the past. So anyway, so that's that book. Pick that up. And then finally, this is something I did not get at Harrisville, but I managed to pick up this week, actually from the Woolly Thistle. This is Lina's new book, Let's Crochet. And if you love crochet, you need to get this book. That's all I got to say. This is actually our Linda Skuja's design on the front. This thing is jam-packed full of wonderful crochet designs of all sorts. And I am just in awe. When I saw that this book was coming out, I just jumped up and down. There's just there are so many lovely designs in this book. And by so many different designers, people I haven't heard of, which is good because, hey, let's get their name out there, and let's enjoy what they have to offer us. This is a lovely one. This lovely little vest here. Yeah, so if you have somebody in your area, local yarn store, and even if your local yarn store doesn't carry it, maybe suggesting to them that, hey, put the bug in their ear and say, Lina has a really nice magazine out for crocheters. So there is a nice little vest, caught my eye. Yeah, so anyway, that's Let's Crochet by Lina, and highly recommend. All right, so that is going to do it for me. Probably a little long-winded today, but I had a lot to show you and a lot to catch you up on. I hope you're all doing well. I hope your spring is moving along in a good direction, and I hope you're getting time with your hooks and needles. So take care of yourself. Until the next time, I will see you soon.